Welcome, mighty listeners. It is episode 10. We are the 2P's. I have spent about an hour bemoaning to Ben about work. Then I've got a coffee, gone out of the room, come back in, and I'm buzzing. So, good evening, Ben.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Double digits, man.
Double digits. It's amazing, isn't it?
I know.
If anybody has listened to us all the way through to episode 10, we're really sorry. We don't yet offer a healthcare plan, but we are considering it, and definitely looking to get public liability insurance.
And a helpline. We could set up a helpline.
We could set up a helpline. Hello, the 2Ps. How can we help you?
So it could be your phone number.
That's my posh phone voice. Anyway, so tonight on the 2Ps we go to the hobby desk. So I've travelled far and wide and played many a game and even won some. And Ben has been painting... No, he's not been painting. Everything. He's been building Nurgle Space Marines and sacrificing Space Wolves on a barbecue. So that's quite extreme. Then we go into the Galaxy of War. We're going back to have another look at the Astra Militarum. Ben's got the Codex. He's been poring over that. Into the Mortal Realms then. So a little bit more to say on Shadespire. Ooh, it's out there now. Lots of people have got it. We haven't got it yet. Hint. But we will be talking a bit about Shadespire. Then it's Hail to the Community. The winner is announced. So we did a competition. We're going to let you know who's won the Start Collecting box set. I will timestamp it if you really can't be bothered to listen to me whittering on. We got some mighty friends in the Sustain Fire podcast. We want to talk about those guys. And I'm off to GamesWorkshop Coventry next weekend. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And finally, Into the Wild. So some really exciting news today. Wizkids have partnered up with GamesWorkshop. So I've been able to sneak GamesWorkshop into the Wild section yet again. And Ben and I are going to discuss that. Is that everything, Ben?
I think so, yeah.
I think so. I'm very excited. Ben's here. Grab a drink. We'll crack on. Cheers, guys.
I turned up. That's enough. I turned up. Welcome back, guys, and we'll kick off with the hobby desk. Just to mix things up a bit. Thought we'd start with something different. You meant to laugh, Dan.
Ha! 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 Ha!
So, actually, we've managed to pack in a ridiculous amount of hobby over the last 2 weeks, I think. So, I've been... I painted my Thunderbolts, finished those. Been painting my Inceptors. Put together some Nurgle.
Oh, you keep sending me photos of those as well. They're ace.
I've got some starting sort of ideas and playing around with some ideas for my Reavers as well. So, I've been doing quite a bit of painting.
That's the one with the black and the darker grey on it that you sent me today.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
What did you decide on that?
Oh, it's a tough one because
it's one of those rare occasions where you send me a picture of something you've painted, and I'm like, I'm not sure. So the execution is ace, but I don't know. It's the patchwork thing.
Yeah. So what I've done is I've gone for all the lower areas in the plate in black, which will get highlighted up to a charcoaly grey. And then the raised areas of plate I'm going to do in a slightly toned down version of the Space Wolf grey.
I think perhaps I think less contrast between the two colours would be better. You don't have to agree.
I think when the black's highlighted up a bit. Well, I was going for a darker kind of meaner look. To mark them out as being different. It's quite hard, isn't it? Because it's a totally different set of power armor, and I didn't want to go with the light blue because that kind of didn't make any sense to me.
What about
for a stealth unit? So I've gone with
corn red.
Yeah.
Hey, come on! It was a theme in episode 1. It might as well be the theme in episode 10.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go with that. Although, having said that, his hands are corn red. I thought that would... I don't know why he did his hands corn red. I was talking to Alexander about it today. It just came to me. I thought, I'll do his fingers red. And he said he thought it reminded him of the Blood Claws. So I've kind of got this thing in my head that it's a squad that knows that they're new to the Space Wolves, and they've painted their fingers red to say that they recognise they're kind of new to the club.
That's ace.
And they're going to prove themselves.
I love how that sort of you've painted something just, I don't know, because the mood took you on
as a whimsy,
yeah, and now it's sort of leading into this little story. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's them. I was only just tinkering around with colours with that. I'll pop some be able to speak in a sentence by the time we get to the end of the episode. I'll pop some photos up on Facebook and see what people think, and because it's different from the Space Wolf colour scheme, but I'm trying to make them look different. And you didn't like it, but Rob and Alex thought it was okay. So I don't know. Maybe it'll divide opinion, and I think that's probably fine with me.
That's okay.
And the Inceptors are coming on nicely.
Yeah, that guy that's crashing into the floor. Amazing.
Yeah.
Do you remember doing a crashing? That's a theme, because do you remember doing the building you did when we worked at Games Workshop, where you had a drop pod crashing through?
Yeah, I loved that.
That was amazing.
Yeah, that was really good. That worked much better than I hoped it would, actually. When I had the image in my head, that did turn out much better. You can build
one of those for my city when I get round to it.
Yeah, after I built mine. You can pay for the drop pod, though. So one of the things I don't really get with the Primaris is this whole idea that their armour's brand new. And, yeah, okay, I can buy into the fact that it's new compared to the other Space Marines armour, but it's still 100 years of combat, and it's still being dropped from orbit. If you see what I mean? So I thought, well, no, it's going to have kind of chips taken off of it as they're flying into the battlefield. I'm going to have like black and sootiness coming off of it where they've got re-entry burns. I'm going to go for all of those things. I really sort of make it look like they've come in hot.
That's a great idea. I like the idea on the Inceptors. I suppose the interesting thing is how far do you go? Because if you're going to say like the heat got so intense that it's burned their armour, like it's done those re-entry stuff, like would it not just have got so intense that it's all gone?
Well, no, and yes.
Okay.
I think what I'm imagining is like the heat at the edges is enough that it's sort of heating up and then burning across the surface. If you see what I mean.
Okay, yeah.
I am very sure that the physics of what I'm talking about are completely different from what I actually think they are. but I just want to create that kind of impression. And I've specifically not put any wolf pelts or tails on them because I reckoned as they were coming in, they would all burn away.
Yes, yeah.
So I didn't really see the point. I'm a bit kind of funny about the fact they've got purity seals on because I think they'd have gone. But the wax would have just melted off.
They actually come in, I think, in Dark Imperium, don't they come in...
low orbit.
Yeah, I was going to say, they don't... Yeah, it comes down quite low, doesn't it? And then... Which is very similar to... There's a game called Drop Zone Commander, which is all about drop troops. Really, really good 10mm scale thing. And that's got massive craft that come into like low orbit and then like disgorge masses of dudes. I don't want to talk about it too much because I got really excited about it once and bought and painted massive army and then went off on to do something else.
Yeah.
Which is not like me at all.
But anyway, that's them. I think they're well on the way to being finished. I think I'm just about catching up with my target for this tournament. Actually, I thought I wasn't going to hit it.
Oh, excellent!
So once I've done those, I've got the 5 Reavers and 5 Intercessors and a few characters. So, and I've got a month to do it. Eek.
Oh yeah, that is well. You know, it could be me and you lot late painting the night before.
Yeah, it could be. I think I'm going to just, with the next bunch, I'm going to just try and, going to do them all at once, in all the colours all at once, so they may not be finished, but at least they'll be painted. Which is disappointing, but...
Get the 3 colours on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I put together the Nurgle, which you've not let me forget.
Nope, and there's an upcoming post to remind people as well about midweek, just in case, if they do start to forget, just... slap that in there. But... You and your preemptive strikes.
Well, yeah. But, dude,
That's because I was sat there taking photos of you.
Do you know what? really, really surprised by them, actually. I don't know why I was surprised by them. Not because they were chaos, but I think what is constantly amazing me is the level of detail, the quality of starter kit models. If someone released those models as a box set, I'd have been happy. I'd have thought this is good quality. It's excellent. I mean, just comparing them to the last starters kit, it's a quantum leap. It's ridiculous. And I think
what amazes me always is you kind of think, where can they go from here? And there's always somewhere they can go from there.
Yeah, there is.
You look at 2nd edition to 3rd edition, and the Space Marines in 3rd edition were just incredible.
Yeah.
And then 4th Battle for Macragge was almost like a middle.
Well, Battle for Macragge, I think, was a step back. I think.
But I think it was a step back to go forward, because you saw you basically in 3 in oh goodness, version 2 was quite monopose, basic to build, wasn't it? And then version 3 they tried to go for nicer models, but they were more challenging to build.
Well, they were the same models as you got released in the boxes.
Exactly the same, weren't they? So 4 was going back to that more monopose. Then 5 was Black Reach when they started to get the stride, and people were like, "Oh, these are pretty cool." And then then Dark Vengeance and so on and so forth, and it really took off, this idea of these sort of one pose models. Because I remember, especially when Fantasy came out with the elves in it.
Yes, yeah.
And I remember before it came out, there was talk about, our one pose models or, 2-part models, and a real concern about what they would be like. And when it came out, well, yeah.
Well,
pretty awesome.
I don't know really why there would have been any concern, because Skull Pass was literally the box of one pose models.
Yeah, but you do know why there's a concern, because there's always a concern.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true. Everyone gets worried. But then I was thinking, was painting the Reavers today, and I was thinking how much they bothered me when I first saw them, and thought, they just didn't look like Space Marines, and now I've put them together and I painted them. They feel like a Space Marine to me, just like any other Space Marine. And I was thinking, as I was painting them, I just got to learn sometimes, I think, to sit back and trust them, and think I'll make my final decision when I've actually finished the model.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gaming wise, I've done nothing, dude. No, that's not true. And it's another Chaos game. God damn it.
You'll be glad to know there's a post about that as well.
Well, we played Gore Chosen. That's the only game I've played in 2 weeks.
Didn't you lose your head?
I did. It got cut off. But I think it's because some maniac, the moment the game started, came running at me and tried to kill me.
I don't know who that was.
No, I can't imagine who that was. But in my defence, I think that maniac died first, so...
Yeah, he did. It was absolutely dire. It was so bad as well. I built up all my wrath, so I was like raging, and I was like, I'm going to get loads of cards. And then I got my action cards, and I was like, these are shocking. And then... yeah, it was bad. And then Tom just turned around and battered me.
Well,
because he got all the cards that should have been mine. I don't know what I'd done to upset Corn.
Well, many things. Perhaps going to Eldar for a week probably did it.
No idea what you're talking about.
So that's my hobby desk. So a fair bit of painting. Enjoyed myself. But not much gaming. But I think yours is the opposite way around, isn't it?
No, I haven't really done anything.
Nothing?
Except go all the way to Cornwall. Yeah! So, I travelled down to some friends, and I hired a lodge, rather swish little lodge it turned out, and travelled away for the weekend to set up and play games. Took far too much stuff. Filled up Ben Chambers' car. Didn't use about half of it, but managed to get 3 games in, so 2 Age of Sigmar and a 40k game, as well as 2 games of Dreadfleet, would you believe? We didn't have any rum, sadly, but a couple of beers, that was good. And also Gore Chosen. So the miracle of the weekend was that I won all 3 of my, my 2 Age of Sigmar and my 40k game. So the moral of the story is that I need to play all my games in Cornwall.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm up for that.
Yeah, well, you'll be happy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really, really interesting. So, 2 Games of Age of Sigmar spent loads of time talking to Dan Wasley, because we played a game before I went away. And despite being into combat on turn 1 and knocking out loads of mortal wounds, I still didn't have the longevity. So we spent some time looking over the list. Ended up putting in the Gore Pilgrims, which allows you to expand the range of the banner. That makes everyone immune to battle shock, gives them +1 attack. So that was rather effective. It turns out that lists or variants on that list actually came 3rd and 10th in the Grand Tournament.
Did it?
So that's... I was like, damn it, now it's going to look like we just did that anyway, but whatever. It was really cool. Loads of stuff died. So, yeah, played Dan. Still a close battle, because you still, you can build a great list or copy a great list if you wish, but you've got to learn to use it. So, still a really good battle. Dan had Dryker. She is horrendous, especially when you've got hordes like I had. I think I had 182 wounds in my list.
Really?
Yeah. And Dryker has an ability where you roll the dice for anyone within, I think it's 10 inches of her. And on a 5 or a 6, I can't remember, they take a mortal wound. Which when you surround her with 40 guys, bad times. So, but I didn't run away. I got the maximum 36-inch radius on my banner. Dealt the mortal wounds, and I had him. Yeah. I was rather pleased. I tried to stay calm, like, towards the end of the battle, but then I just lost it. I was like, oh my goodness. And my second game of Age of Sigmar the next day was against some Stormcast. Mike's Stormcast, and he has Caradron Overlords in there as well.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, because Mike didn't have the book, the Stormcast book. So he didn't know about any of the shenanigans, any of that gubbins. And we still had a battle which came down to the wire. So I'm going to focus on the fact that I won. But inside I'm a bit like, oh my goodness. But Mike is very astute general. So he's been telling me today that he's going to build a list with 6 Knight Heraldors in it, which are the guys with the trumpets. So the marching band comes back to mind again.
Well, except that yours will be shiny and mine will be a ragtag
mate,
bunch
it's
of
insane.
Muppets.
So do you know what the Knight Heraldor does?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, so he's the one that you pick a piece of scenery and any unit within D6 inches takes D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
So he's found a battalion that gives that extra range. So it's you pick a piece of scenery within 25 inches instead of 15, and then he's on about having 6 of them. So yeah, it's really interesting, the Heraldor. Because I was like, I don't want to stand next to that terrain. I don't want to stand next to. Oh, I don't want to go there. Oh no, I don't want to go there. I even went and had to get a Diet Coke twice.
Yeah. Because
I had to walk away from the table and come back during setup. It freaked me right out. So that was interesting. But yeah, really, really well done to Mike for that. And I'm not looking forward to what he comes up with.
Well, now he's got the taste for it.
Now he's got the book now. He told me today he's got the book now. So that's great.
Don't sound too happy. That's great. He might know the rules now. Damn it.
Oh no. No. This is the same Mike, though, who in our Just Who Do We Think We Are, I talk about how he introduced me to the hobby, but always won, even though suspiciously, because I didn't know the rules and he knew.
Revenge is sweet.
Yeah, even if it only happens once ever. So, and then I played Ben Chambers' really, really gorgeous Mechanicum.
Yeah, they look nice in the photos I've seen.
Really lovely painted. Yeah, they're lovely. He's done like a yellow scheme, a muted yellow scheme, which looks really nice. Really nice bases. It's great. It's always great playing Ben. Again, quite an astute general. The Khorne managed to pull out a win, which was great news. Obviously, I was over the moon. Belisarius Cawl is a flipping legend. He is ridiculous. He's just like, right, my pretties. He gets all those big arms, and he gives all the Mechanicum units within 9 inches of cuddle, and it makes them amazing. So, lots of rerolls, lots of buffs. So yeah, he is really, really good. Not so good when your Corn Lord puts an axe through his cyber skull, though. But I was happy. I was happy with that. And then, like I said, Dreadfleet. Played a couple of games of Dreadfleet. I haven't played that in ages. Not since it came out in the shop, I don't think. And I was dressed as a pirate intro.
I haven't played it.
Have you not?
No, I've never played it.
Arr, we'll be needing to sort that out, me lad.
I've never played Man of War either.
Yeah. My boss dressed as Jack Sparrow when they were talking about doing that even. So yeah, that was great. It was good fun, and it's nice because it's all painted up and in the box, so you just get that as like a big board game, really.
Did you paint it?
No. A good friend of mine, Gareth, up here, I gave him a load of Skaven as a small hairy bribe to paint them, and he painted them, so that's good. And we also played Gore Chosen, which you've obviously said. So lots of gaming, lots of food, good times.
It's a good idea. I think it might be something we have to do more, or at least annually. Yeah, well,
we're working. We're doing annual leave picks at work, and I'm already got in mind a date in October or around October October or November. Because the good thing about those dates is you do them away from the holidays, so it keeps the price down. But yeah, it's really nice because what's cool is you play your game and then you get to chill and socialise. So Brad, we'll talk about Brad a bit later, but he came over on the Saturday and just built models, chilled, chatted about Black Library. He loves Black Library. He's really up on Black Library. And he didn't play any games, but he did some hobby. We had a good chat because we had like the sofa area set up. We managed to get 2 gaming tables in. The sofa area was set up. Big kitchen we used the breakfast bar as like the painting station. Yeah. All we needed was one of those racks from Games Workshop full of product, and then we would have had our own hobby shop. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was good.
Talking of which, I found a hobby shop. We went into Callington, which was the closest town, and the guys were like, "Well, we need to go into Spa." So they went into Spa. Come out. Where's Dan gone? And I come back up the road holding a box of blood letters. Because I've managed to find this new.
So you can smell them.
Which sold Warhammer. I could smell them. I could smell the disturbance in the warp.
Is it part of your Red Body Paint Club? Is he a member of that?
That is what it is, yeah. Yeah, and then the rage of Khorne descended because Tom had bought some scones from Devon. And we were in Cornwall for crying out loud. And then later it just got insane and he started putting the cream on first. But listeners around the world are going to be like, what is this crazy guy on about? But I am telling you now, it was wrong.
There is only one way to do. Really there's only one way to put cream and jam on a scone.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what anyone says. So, and I know one of our listeners is actually produces clotted cream as his living. And he'll completely disagree with me because he's in Devon.
I was going to say he'll disagree though, doesn't he? Mighty fine clotted cream it is too.
Langage Farm.
Even if they don't know, how much royalties are you getting for promoting Langage Farm?
I don't know, but I'm hoping because
I'm happy to be paid in ice cream.
I was going to say, hopefully you'll bring me a tub of ice cream
or cream. You could teach it. We could if we get one of those massive tubs, it might be enough to get him. You know, like how you make people write lines. Yeah. Just get him to put, scone, jam, cream, scone, jam, cream. Just multiple times until it sinks in.
In fact, yes. Didn't Sustain Fire say that they were going to have, in a game that we play against them in Warhammer World, they were going to buy us scones.
Did they?
Yeah, that was the...
Why haven't we arranged this yet, then?
I don't know. Well, that was the agreement. We said tea and scones, and we'd do it.
Oh, yes. Right, well, there we go. Needs to be done. But if I see any travesty like that, I will be wigging out.
Cream first and Dan goes mental.
Do you think we've gone a little bit off topic?
No, we never go off topic.
So it's probably a good time to move into the galaxy of war. So, guys, thank you very much for joining us, chatting about some culinary delights there. If you have no idea what we're talking about, I'll put a post up about it, I think. And a link to Langage Farm. Not that we're digging for that free cream or anything. Guys, thank you very much for listening. Grab some refreshments and we'll be back with you soon. welcome back, guys. We are in the grim darkness of the galaxy of war, and we want to talk about some Astra Militarum, which we did cover a bit last time, but since then, Ben has bought the codex.
It's like we need them earlier, really. Or talk about things later.
Are we going to do this in every segment?
No.
Oh, you laugh. I am.
But dude, isn't it beautiful? Have you seen it?
I've literally, as we were talking, just downloaded it.
Okay. Well, I can't do that with mine. I have them hard copies, so there's no way that I can go, whimsically, I'd like to have this, and go out and buy it.
Well, okay, so what was the thought process that went to you getting that one?
This one? I don't know, actually.
No, so you don't even know why you bought it. At least I've sat down here and thought, we're going to do a segment on this, and I'd quite like this.
All right.
Yeah.
Get back in your box.
1-0 to the Jolly. Anyway, more singing. Flippin' heck. Right. So, what do you think of it?
I think it's stunning.
Yeah?
I really do. Okay, so whenever I come to these things, I come at them from a more of a fluffy, backgroundy kind of position. Way before I get into crunching the rules, which I haven't even got close to. But this book, dude, is just gorgeous. Everything that I'm expecting from a new Games Workshop book is just so good. I mean, I think the thing I like about it the most is the new artwork, because I mean, there's a dude sat by a tank eating his dinner.
Where is that then? What page is that on?
That's in the Regiments of Distinction, on Armoured Regiments, the Basilisk shell loader from the Cadian 781st Artillery Regiment, and he's leaning against the side of his tank eating his scran. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, that's the sort of stuff that really brings these worlds to life, I think.
That's fantastic.
Rather than sort of all of the although they're good, like, the front cover of all the books have got these sort of epic pictures of, soldiers 6 inches from an enemy that they'd rather not be within a mile of. But, the pictures of just people existing, like the Cadians and the Catachans, like just milling around with a gun on his shoulder. And
it's really interesting that they've gone with the theme of getting the Cadian armour out into other regiments, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That Mordian tank commander looks amazing. So
it does, doesn't it?
And those Ventrilian nobles. It's interesting because I was going through my bits box and I've got a load of like the feathers that go on the heads.
The Ventrilian nobles, I don't reckon you'll see very often because they use the heads from the Pistoliers box, and that's a lot of Pistoliers just to do a regiment.
That is a lot of Pistoliers. Look at that in Digan Prefect. He's definitely, that's like Skitarii stuff, isn't it? You were saying about that with the kits, weren't you, last time?
Yep.
Now that guy, a Thonian Tunnel Rat.
Yeah.
He looks like he's on my side, mate. I'm not going to lie.
He does a bit, doesn't he? Well, because that's what you want to do, isn't it, Dan? Let's just cut to the chase. Dan wants to do a Chaos Guard regiment.
Yeah, I do. So,
even saying those words makes my mouth fur up like a badger's arse.
Now that is an incredible image to have put in our listeners' minds, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well done, you. So, more importantly, yes, that is what I want to do. So, I have this thing, and I talk about it quite often, about how Space Marines are not all over the Imperium all the time, fighting in every battle en masse. So, I really like the visual of, I love the idea, Imperial-wise, if we're talking Imperium, of massive guard army in battle, and then supported by, a couple of squads of Marines that come in drop pods. So if you were going to put a 2,000 point Marine army on the table, to my mind, you're talking 10 to 20,000 points of guard to make that look closer to how I imagine it is in the Imperium. And even then, it's probably not close. So this thing about guard for me is all about creating the similar thing, but for chaos. Because if you read, especially Dan Abnett's stuff, the first and only stuff, which is the first stuff that I really read, and the first stuff a lot of people read, because it was some of the early stuff the Black Library did, that really.
And actually, if you read the
into
prologue in the new version of that, sorry to cut in, Dan, if you read the prologue in First and Only in the new reprint, there's a prologue by Dan Abnett, and he was saying how a lot of the words that he coined in that book are now common parlance, like Voxcaster and Prometheum. They're part of the very fabric of what makes up 40k, and he made those words up for First and Only.
Absolutely. So anybody that's
amazing.
vaguely interested in 40k should be reading those and like his Inquisitor books. But in those, so there's a fantastic scene, really cool, and they're attacking this world, and they get through the lines and they get into a place where it goes to, like, I think it goes to the armory. It's been a really long time, so I'm butchering it completely, but basically they're fighting off Chaos Cultists, and there's cultists everywhere, and then the lift comes down and a Chaos Space Marine comes out.
Yeah.
And they just flipping wig out because there's there's one Chaos Marine. So similar concept. I want to create like a mass of Chaos troops, but I don't just want loads and loads of hordes of cultists. I want a Chaos army.
Yes.
What I don't want to do is go, oh, well, these guys only turned yesterday, so they look exactly like my Imperial Guard.
Yeah.
So I shared a post for Victoria Miniatures a while ago, and I've been looking at them for little backpacks because I like the idea of they be in the field. It's got to be something, though, that really that I can base off the Cadians, because to make it accessible. Or the Chaos Cultists. So the current plan is do all your bods, so your platoons of dudes, with the Chaos Cultists, because you've got autogun ones, and I can convert up some of them. And Victoria Miniatures do these really cool gun carriages that look more like the Death Corps of Krieg ones, the sort of World War One styly. We've dragged this out the back of a shed. It's an upturned wheelbarrow with a stubber on it or what have you, and do that for the grunts. Tanks would be fairly similar, but with a bit more rusting and weathering on than you'd expect. And there's some good stencils out there for like Chaos Stars. And then for the more elite, use the Forge World. They've got like Chaos Enforcers.
They do, yeah.
And more of the like Puppets of War do some really cool skull helms. And use more of that and flesh it out that way. That's sort of the concept anyway. And then from a gaming perspective, if I understand it right, and I am still getting my head around it, so if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be corrected. As long as, although they will obviously all have the Imperium keyword, so it doesn't matter for a friendly game because, as long as we agree they can just have the Chaos keyword, or what have you. But if I want to go to an event and use them, which would be quite cool, as long as they're all in their own detachment, I don't think that they will break the bound. I don't know if what's it called now? Is it called bound, or is that 7th?
Forged, isn't it?
Battleforged. That's right, Battleforged.
So isn't there Forge World rules for Chaos Guard, because they have Chaos Guard models on Forge World?
There are, but because I'm obviously very much driven by using and how much I like all the models, those rules don't let Lehman Russes shoot twice.
Can't have everything, dude. Maybe
you
Chaos
can't
is
have
crap
everything.
at driving
No,
tanks.
to be honest, there is. I haven't really looked at them, to be honest, mate. I need to. But as I've said to you recently, I'm trying to have a bit of a restructure on hobby and get to a
Finishing
place.
one thing before, because that's worth talking about, isn't it? Because you kind of got a bit overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that you had just lying around waiting to do.
Yeah, I got completely overwhelmed, because the trouble is, what happens is I get excited about a new project and I want to dig into it, but then I feel held back because I feel bad and I think, I need to paint some of that first, or I've got to do that. And then I get frustrated and because I'm frustrated, I don't really want to do anything, and then it'll just go in these cycles. And I find that the high point for me in the hobby is when I finish a unit.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
what happens is I'll go into a project quite excited, then it will slow down, and then it will get quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker, leading up to completion. But then the risk is, the closer I get to completion, I think, I've only got a little bit to do on that, so I can start this thing over here, and then that doesn't get done. So it's getting that balance. So what I decided to do is I've been clearing out a lot of old projects. I have, as I alluded to with Dreadfleet, a couple of the boxed games that I want to keep because I want to play them. I've got other people painting them up, and I've put out a couple of requests to get some quotes because it's not cheap having models painted because it's a time factor. Not knocking the value. It's great value. It's just expensive. And just trying to get back to a place where the miniatures that I own are either connected to my core project, which is Khorne, or they're painted.
Yeah.
And it's the same with scenery. So I've got loads of scenery that needs painting. I'm keeping all of that, but then I want to build some scenery because I don't want to be in 10 years' time just surrounded by loads of stuff I've spent loads of money on, but I'm not getting anything out of it.
Yeah.
And even if that means that moving forward, I have the same hobby budget, but I buy less soldiers because I get some of them painted for me or what have you, I'm okay with that. Or I need to try and be okay with that because I really want to explore World War II and I really want to explore Napoleonic battles and I want to explore other armies and I want to do other stuff for Age of Sigmar, but there's only so much time in the day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, you have to
clear the decks.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't have to, you don't have to do it. And I've done it before. I paid for our kitchen with it. So.
Yeah. That just goes to show how much stock you build up when you're working for Games Workshop.
Well, yeah, you do.
You get caught in the moment and just end up buying stuff. All I did. And I know you did.
Well, yeah, because you will always paint faster in your head than you can in reality.
Well, isn't that pretty much my catchphrase for the last 10 episodes? Is they took me longer than I thought.
Yes.
I mean, that is. If Rob's catchphrase is Robject, mine is they took me longer.
Yeah. So I was just looking to go back to what we were saying. Factions. Basically, detachments require often, I think all the ones in the books require, the unit belongs, the factions must require all units included in it to be from the same faction. So what I wouldn't be able to do is say, right, I've got a patrol detachment, and the HQ is from my guard, and then everybody else is from the Chaos Marines, for example. So that's quite cool.
Well, you might struggle with it in a tournament, I think.
Well, not by the rules.
Yeah, I suppose.
Not unless there's something I've missed, which, as I say, I'm happy for people to correct me on, or the tournament itself says, to be battle forged, the whole force must have a common keyword.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, it wouldn't be something I wouldn't expect to see. And I would imagine as well, if you built it... Well, I'll have a look, because it might be better to go with the Forge World option. So
going back to the Codex...
Yeah, go yeah.
After a little detour, but I'm really, really very happy with the amount of background that's in there. I mean, I still haven't finished reading it, and I've had it for a week. The artwork is fantastic. And I've looked at the rules a little bit, and it's actually helped because one of my friends has started a guard army, other than Alexander. And he's been sort of knocking rules around, seeing if he's got it right in his head, because he's just got back into 40k after... I think he used to play Warhammer Fantasy Battle, but he's never played 40k, so that's quite cool. And there's some interesting things that we've managed to tease out. namely to do with the amount of points that things cost. One thing that we came across, which I'm going to have to bring up because it just stunned me, is the cost of mortars is ridiculous. And it wasn't until I was reading that I realised why the mortar and conscript army had become such a thing. But 23 points for 3 mortars, which I reckon for 230 points is 30 mortars, which is just...
That's ridiculous.
It's just wrong, isn't it? And it's not much more for heavy bolters, frankly. So that's quite tasty, among other things. Like I said, I haven't got down round to crunching the rules yet, but just picking little things like that out, it does look like this is a real goer as an army.
Mate, I'm sorry. I'm just flicking through while you're talking, flicking through the book, and there's I think it's page 160, and it's an army shot of those Ventrilian nobles.
Yeah, I've just seen that, actually.
Mate, that's amazing. Those gun carriages is exactly what I was just talking about.
It is, yeah. I was wondering how they did it, actually. Can you think of what they've used for the carriage? There's going to be loads of book flicking sounds in the back of this episode section.
Well, the wheels are they're off like the old. They look like they're off the old cannon kits.
They do, don't they?
And I'm not sure what they're mounted on. Don't know, but that's what you get when you've got a bits box like that.
Yeah.
Although
absolutely.
interestingly, like obviously the pistolier heads, if they're just the pistolier heads uniquely, then that's not the most accessible thing in the world, obviously. But other than that, the models are mostly, they're just the Cadians.
Yeah, Cadians with the pistolier heads.
Yeah, so I would imagine you can get a head suitable. That guy back there's got a flipping head off the light magic wizard. That's brilliant. Look at his hat.
I was going to point that out. Yeah, it's like a little
Shako.
It's ridiculous. He looks like Nagash.
He looks like Extreme Sharp. Doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Oh, mate, this is amazing. I'm loving this book.
Yeah, so Astra Militarum.
So on that thing about, slimming down my collection, I want to do these guys now.
Do you? Yeah, that's a tough thing when you buy new codexes. You end up wanting to do them as an army.
Yeah.
And
it's a little bit of a shame. It's a little bit of a shame that I know. Like, I'm pleased to see the kit bashing because it does look cool.
Yeah.
But it does sort of indicate that we're not going to see more plastic guard regiments in the near future, doesn't it?
Oh, I don't know, mate. I really don't. I think we haven't seen any new models apart from Primaris and Death Guard. And they're coming out, the codexes are coming out at a speed I've never seen them come out before at this kind of speed.
Yeah.
And I think perhaps next year, when all the codexes are out, we're going to start to see the models being released. And I don't think you can rule anything out, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Well, with the things going on at the moment, I mean, Gilliman came back and Mortarian and all the rest of it. You'd be a fool to rule anything out. Mate, oh my goodness, sorry, man. I'm just going through and they've done some great stuff. I found one here now as a picture of a guy stood on the sponson of a Lehman Russ on the Vox.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I've always wanted to do the Vox panels on the back of tanks like they had in World War II. They had the phone mounted on the back of the tank so that you could talk to the crew.
Yeah.
I don't quite know how you'd model that, but I've always thought that would look really cool because that was one of my favourite things. Pacific, the series, is that kind of cool interaction with the tanks. The rest of it is just difficult watching.
Yeah.
Good, excellent series, but difficult watching. Yeah. So, what do you, as an Eldar player, Dan?
Hang on, I just go and get my evil twin.
So, as an Eldar player, what do you think of the sneaky little rules that are coming out?
So, as a complete bystander and solid adherent to the Chaos Faith,
yeah,
yeah, the Avatar Resurgent is a bit of a kick in the balls, isn't it? After you've just spent all that time killing him.
Yes.
That is flipping amazing. Just like, hello. I love it, though. I love the idea. I can envisage it. You know, it finally slowing and dissipating and then bursting back into flames and life out of the remains is amazing, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Seems quite flavourful as well. I must admit, I've only really looked at the detail on the Biltan.
Yep.
I noticed that the Sanheim or what have you have come back, have popped up.
They have, yeah. They came out the rules were leaked today.
And we had
Thursday.
I don't think it's really a leak, is it? They've actually just put them up.
Well, sneak peeked. Let's call it sneak peeked.
Reroll charge rolls. Yeah, that's brilliant. That's cool. That's what you'd expect. Fire and fade. Ooh, that's cool. Bit of extra movement. Yeah.
How about the rules for the jet bikes?
So
they're cool stuff. They're core stuff.
So they've gone down in points. What am I looking for, man? Where am I looking?
They don't get any effect from moving when they're shooting.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
And the Viper now counts as a bike as well.
Ooh.
Yeah. Some pretty cool stuff there.
So that's pretty cool. I'm more drawn to this, which is the 5 reasons to despise the perfidious Eldari. Forces of the over-specialised and inflexible aspect warriors.
Yeah.
Abhorrent ghost constructs, deviant witches, and untrained levy troops. Excellent. Okay, well, I'm feeling confident to go into battle with those guys now.
Is this the regimental standard?
Yeah.
Oh, the regimental standard is absolutely excellent.
Here we go. So, attention guardsmen. Do you truly possess the zeal to purge the Eldari? So, they have no respect for the dead. There we go. They're over-specialised. That is a reason to hate them. I love it. I
wonder what they feel about the Primaris.
Yeah. They the Eldari covet the might of our tanks. It is well known that they envy our heavy armour, lacking the mechanical talent of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Instead, forced to rely on brittle and unreliable psychoplastics. Do not waste crack missiles on assaulting these vehicles. A stone thrown with enough force should more than suffice. The irony is, actually, a Space Marine would be fine, but that's brilliant. Oh, and a 5th version, they've never lifted a finger to help mankind.
Well, that I can believe.
Brilliant.
So, on that amazing piece of... Go on, you were gonna...
I was just gonna say, there's always the footnotes, isn't it? And it says, in reference to the fact that they don't respect their dead, it says, "Worry not, guardsmen. When you die, your remains will be treated with utmost respect. You may find yourself interred within a wall of martyrs, transformed into a servo skull, or, for chapter serfs, reborn as a righteous weapon, entombed in a sky spear warhead."
Brilliant. So, on that note, I think we ought to move on to Shadespire, dude.
I think so, sir. Off we go from the galaxy of war and into the glorious mortal realms. Guys, grab some refreshment. We'll be back soon. Welcome back, guys, to the mortal realms. So, normally, this is where Ben and I witter on about some cool stuff we've seen in the realms. However, exciting times, finally, after me spending all this time talking about what I will be doing with Shadespire when it eventually turns up. It's not here yet, but it will be here in a couple of days' time. So we are going to do a bit of an unboxing. Unfortunately, Ben can't come all the way from Cornwall, so I found another Ben. So Ben Chambers is going to join me on the Shadespire adventure. He's going to be painting up the Stormcast. I'm going to be doing the Khorne, and we'll be doing a number of posts about that. But for now, we'll go over to Us of the Future and find out what we found when we started unboxing Shadespire. Hi guys, so I'm here with Ben. Talked about Ben a few times and his mechanicum and how cool he is at basing and how he screwed me over by using a knight in our first game, which he still says was allowed because I said it was okay, but I didn't know what I was going to be facing. And a Wraith Knight, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, hi guys. Another Ben. Yeah, that was your fault. You wanted to do a big game, and I said, look, this is the only way I can do it. That's the only way I could put an army together that was, not just grey plastic pieces.
Perhaps. But anyway, moving and putting that to one side. So Ben has kindly agreed to get involved with me doing the Warhammer Underworld Shadespire box. So we mentioned a couple of episodes back, we're going to go on our hobby journey, really, opening up the box, looking through it, our initial reaction. Then we're going to paint up the models over the next couple of weeks, do some posts about that. Play the game, and just really, it's how did we find it? So there's some great reviews out there. There's some great battle reports online. Those are still great. Go see those. But this is just our experience, really. So
yeah, it's cool. I'm quite looking forward to it now. Initially, when they announced Shadespire, I wasn't sure. I've never done a deck building game of any kind, so this will be very new for me. But over the last couple of weeks, with more stuff getting released, I'm very much looking forward to having a go.
What have you seen that's excited you the most?
I'm always a sucker for good models.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everyone now has seen the Duncan videos and his painting ones, and the Khorne in that video. It looks awesome. That's one thing. And so they put up a video today to do with like the structure of how you play, and it looked very different. And I'm always keen to have a go at something new. So yeah, definitely keen to have a go.
Good. Well, in that case then. So we've got the core box in front of us. We've got some cool sleeves as well off to one side. So Ben, behind you there's a knife, if you want to grab that.
You trust me with that?
Yeah. I've got a table between us, so you're allowed to have a knife. So let's get the wrapping off this one then. So it's a pretty nifty box. Hold on.
I don't know if you're allowed this, mate. It says 12 plus.
12 plus. Ah, he's going to start being funny already. We haven't even got in yet. So it's about the size of Start Collecting. So chunky bit of kit. Set in the Warhammer Age of Sigmar realms.
Yeah, it's
wow.
a nice little touch, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it's quite similar to the other kind of get started boxes you'd get. Typical pictures on the back of the models and the layout. It's quite cool that they put the models in the colour of the plastic rather than just having painted miniatures all over it. Which is quite a nice touch.
Yeah,
just so
definitely.
For people opening the very first box of minis, so they actually understand what it's going to look like.
Well, this is just another one of these great entry point things that GamesWorkshop are doing. So if you're not into miniatures painting, because there are lots of games at the moment, X-Wing has done phenomenally well. You don't have to paint those miniatures, so it doesn't create that barrier. So this is sort of, I suppose, GamesWorkshop's middle ground on that, because they're not pre-painted. But there is definition.
So they are a miniatures company, but from what I can see in the boxes, they look detailed enough that they still look like nice minis, even if you don't want to paint them.
The thing is, you can be a minis company with great games, and that's what's really exciting at the moment. So, let's have a look inside, if I can get it open. Incidentally, I love the artwork. Absolutely love the artwork.
I'm quite impressed.
Underworld's artwork.
So there's Stormcast in the middle and the bottom, so it's not I don't know their names sort of yet. But that Khorne guy is about to get squashed by that hammer. That hammer is huge.
Nah, look, that guy is going to cut him in half first.
No, not a chance.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. Right, so let's put that over there. So, first things first, we've got the game boards. So, again, where's the knife gone?
What'd you do with it? You ain't lost it already.
Lost the knife.
There's another one.
That's okay. Luckily, someone that collects Khorne, there's always a knife. Don't tell anyone about the axes. So, just trying to cut my way in. So, usual stuff from Games Workshop. Really good card stock. Which is... so
all the tokens.
Got the tokens.
Nicely detailed. Really high quality printing, but they're the typical kind of push out cards that if anyone's ever done any of their other games, we've seen before.
Look at these cool objectives. There's like a warp stone. Oh, look at this thing of blood with the skull in it, man.
Yeah, Khorne players.
That's amazing. Yeah. Oh,
that's nice though. The orb, they've even got like, the skulls and stuff like
there's some kind of badass looking helmet.
Elf,
potentially.
Yeah, that's something different, isn't it? I do quite like the numbers on the outside as well, rather than have a big bold something in the middle. It's quite obviously what numbered objectives they are.
Yes.
Still.
Yeah. I like this one. Look, this is for the D&D players. There's a D20 as an objective.
That's excellent.
And some gold for the
dwarves.
Shade glass as well, linking in with the background.
Who's that supposed to be? That's different. So we got a face on one of them.
Like the image. Look,
is that the shadespire one?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I might back that up with some evidence at some point. I don't know. So we got all of those, so they're pretty cool. Looks like there's some effect tokens as well, doesn't there?
Yeah. So I remember. So I said I watched a video earlier. So these are different things. So you've got attack and defense and stuff like that. So they obviously key up to what you're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, you keep track of the miniatures throughout the game.
Sweet. Oh, there's that face.
Yeah, so it is there we go.
So the game boards then. So apparently these are, so one is sort of corn related. Is that the case?
I don't know. I think they've all got their own little scheme. So the double-sided, so we've got two that fold out.
Yeah.
This one, I've got one here that's like also like a mausoleum, so lots of tombs.
Oh, I can't think of anything that's going to be coming out.
Yeah, exactly. That might fit that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other side, I don't know what are we looking at? So there's like a stairway with a dais in the middle or something like that. Either way, the detail.
And there's quite clearly some areas that are blocked off, isn't there?
Yeah. And we've got some symbols on other ones, which may be a projective placing. We'll find out, I'm sure.
Yeah. So this one's got one big area of darkness. And
that's cool.
That is very cool. The artwork is incredible. It's so inspirational. I recently saw a 3D version of the Gore Chosen board that someone had done, and Ben, other Ben, said about doing that, but for this,
for Shadespire. I think, if you could, I was thinking because it's all every single part of it.
That's the natural hobbyist coming out, isn't it? It's like it's the quick play game. But what we could do is sculpt it. But you can set these up in all sorts of ways. These boards.
Yeah. So I think the idea. So you got well,
maybe not that way.
So you got the 6-sided shapes on basically cover almost every inch, and they match up on each side. So when you place them, you could match them up in different angles and different sides. I think you're allowed to, from what I understand, even like that. So you can, that's where it becomes tactical. So as long as the shapes match up.
Oh right, I see.
You can alter it by doing.
So you can make little difficult to get through bits. So if you're like the Stormcast and real defensive,
you can narrow the gap through, so they have to fight you to get past.
Sweet.
So little things. So that's another. So when they've said it's their most strategic game yet, everything I've seen so far points towards it, which is very cool.
Oh. So I just picked up the rulebook, and underneath is the minis. So that's when the real excitement's coming. So, right, let's go.
So Stormcast on top.
There we go. Stormcast on top. That's disappointing. I can't play this game. Whoa.
So we've got one sprue for each of the forces.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the bases. So if Dan said anything about me, I know I'm a little bit obsessed with basing my minis, and so it's cool to see sculpted bases.
Oh, do you know what's ace? They're themed to who they are as well. So the corn ones are covered in skulls and like a cracked earth thing going on.
Yeah, and these ones, so there's a lot of paving. You've got a few looks like statue details on there as well. Yeah, so there's a few skulls just tucked underneath and a bit of armour. But they still fit next to each other as well. So they've got their own theme, but they don't look so dissimilar.
No, they definitely fit, don't they?
Yeah.
Look at the size of that hammer!
That's the guy that's the one on the front of the box. If he hits someone, there ain't anything left.
So what's really cool is, despite the coloured plastic, it's not like this is proper, detailed, hard plastic.
Yeah, so it's what, isn't it? As we've seen last couple, every starter set and every push fit model they've done over, I don't know, last almost 10 years now, the amount of detail is on them, and these are just another step up. If anything else, aren't they? Look at, so even on the chainmail and the Stormcast, look how detailed that is.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. From something that's not a multi-part.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
that is amazing.
And they look simple to put together. Like, this looks simple enough. They're all numbered clearly as you'd expect.
Yeah.
So if you are picking up your first box of minis, like, you could put these together in seconds. Pair of clippers, push them together. Yeah, they look good.
Sweet. It is. Let's go back to the rulebook then.
Yeah.
That we put to one side. So,
ignored.
right, so on the back is the push fit example.
Yeah.
Really good for Ben Hall, the other P, because he's quite simple. So it's good to have these guides for him.
I don't even know. I'm not involved in that.
So that's great. We'll just get into that. So obviously everything's wrapped up as you'd expect. Oh, right, okay, so we've got an assembly guide separate. What's that? Just a thick, like pretty sturdy piece of card that's separate with the read this first assembly guide on. You know, the normal stuff you get from Games Workshop, really simple.
Games Workshop have also done, they've released this week as well. If you are unsure, if you want, like you said, if it is your first game that you want to pick up, they've done an instruction video how to put your models together. And they build both things, which is quite cool.
Oh, that's good.
But these are pretty clear anyway, to be honest.
And then there's a quick start sheet, which is half the size of the Age of Sigmar rules at 2 pages. So that's quite cool. It just starts you off with 4 fighters, runs you through playing the game, moving a fighter, making an attack, rolling defences, charging, action phase, defence, pass, end phase, victory.
Very simple game mechanics, just like a demo game, isn't it, I suppose, to get you first habit.
Yeah.
For those of us too excited, you know.
I think that's where we're going to start. Yeah, absolutely. That's like, this is what they need in IKEA kits for putting together stuff for men.
What, quick start?
The quick start IKEA guide to building a set of drawers.
There's going to be someone out there who says, like, they're as simple as you're going to get, lads. You need to sort yourselves out.
That's right. I have to be honest, though, when I build an IKEA kit, I always get everything out and line it all up anyway, because that's how my head works. Which is weird, because in my hobby room, there's just stuff everywhere.
This is not an inch to move, is it?
Oh, no, I've dropped the quick start guide. So that is definitely how we'll start our first game, so we'll tell you how we get on with that when we do that. Rulebook is stunning.
Yeah,
wow.
Look at the artwork.
Wow. Yeah.
So everybody who's a fan of Games Workshop has seen the artwork's always been amazing, but the last couple of years it's just gone.
That is amazing, isn't
like,
it?
the guy, whoever they've got doing this stuff is well beyond that. Yeah. So on the third paid intro book, you've got a full page of the shattered glass. They've done this in a different way previously, haven't they? I think.
Yeah, they did it to tease some factions.
But this is like a whole style. So you've got all sorts in the pictures. So we've got Nagash's face. What? So this is. So if I'm right from the fluff, this is an old city. Nagash has trapped the souls inside of it, and he draws more people and factions into it. So looking at that. And the reason he does this, he gets jealous of the people in there because of the stuff that they've learned.
Yeah, so they managed the Cataphrines, they're called, and that's it. And they managed to cheat death.
Yeah.
And Nagash is like, well, no, I'm not having that. And he tears the soul out of the entire city. And then I believe the glass contains like shades of them, of the souls that he's taken.
So that's what this is portraying, isn't it? You've got the different individuals and some of those people in there, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah. So very cool. Oh, there's the one that they teased with some other factions. So we've got quite clearly got Fire Slayers and Skaven, and we know we've got Oryx coming, and the Sepulchral Scarred, I think they're called. Yeah. So they're coming out.
So we know if we go by that, there's at least another 2.
There's at least 2 more. I don't know if you've seen, but the upgrade packs are £17.50.
That's alright.
Yeah.
You get cards as well, so you get new decks, so it's not just your miniatures.
No. So that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got no issues with that.
So, there's actually a bit more detail about the faction. So you've got Steelheart Champions and the Far Striders. Garrick's Reavers, and more Magor's Fiends. So that sounds like we're going to see
more for the Stormcast and the Khorne.
Iron Skull's Boys, the Chosen Axes, which are the Fire Slayers, the Sepulchral Guard, and Spiked Claw's Swarm. So already a bit of a mix to start out with. Be different playstyles and stuff in that. Introduction, and just tells you what you should expect to find in the box, as you would normally find.
And then you're going
and
into
just
core rules
going
and
through the game sequence.
And then a breakdown of what the cards are and everything like that.
Yeah. Looks well laid out as well.
Yeah, it looks easy to follow. Hopefully, well, we also will know more when we read it, but it looks as though you can, rather than having to flick back and forth between all the pages, you can just follow this through.
And it's quite clearly set up. Round 1, action phase, end phase. Round 2, action phase, end phase. So you can already see that very solid, this is the rules.
This is how it works.
That you need when you've got this type of game. That's good. No woolliness. Not any woolliness here.
The last thing we want
just
is
looking
this
forward.
is going to be their most tactical game ever. The last thing we need is first play people do is, well, what happens now?
I found a bit that says multiplayer games, and they've got 4 of the boards put together.
Yeah, because it says 2 to 4 players, doesn't it, as well?
So this is how it gets you into Age of Sigmar. You're just going to
You
keep
start
building on
playing
the boards. That's it. Keep going. Oh, and a glossary in the back. Excellent. What's it got? Space Wolves. Mutant Heretics with beards. Oh, I see. Oh, yeah, excellent. It's very accurate, this. Very accurate. And reference on the back. So, very cool. Let's put that to one side. What else have we got in the box? Dice! Yes! Nifty little dice that are very different. No
numbers.
No dots, no numbers. I'm just opening them. I can't wait. I just got to get these dice out. Right. Whoa! We got some hammers. I got some hammers. And a shield. Something else.
So these are support.
Are they?
Yeah, so you got one side which that's support, and then if you got your characters next to each other, and there should be one with a double on somewhere.
Like that?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So they're to do with how many players you can have like supporting each other.
And that one with a warning symbol looks like one you wouldn't want to roll, or that you
do.
really
It's
would.
A critical.
Oh,
yeah.
I see. Okay.
So it depends in different stages whether you want more criticals or less.
Now that's interesting. So presumably these are attack dice and these are defense dice, because there's 5 white dice and only 3 black dice.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It's funny, we got the rule book, but I'm just going to decide what I think, anyway. How it works. That's it.
I'm just going to have a little look through.
Ah, brilliant.
Yeah, so you got 5 attack dice, which are white ones, and 3 defense dice.
Yeah.
There you go. It's like he knows what he's talking
about. So, looking at the cards, this is really cool. There's on the first card that you come across that you can actually read before you even open the decks of cards tells you what you've got in your hand. So, for example, the Blood Reavers one says, open this when you play your first game. This pack includes fighter cards, an objective deck, and a power deck for the Blood Reavers.
Yeah, and this is exactly the same, but for the Liberators, yeah.
And then a third one says, don't open this until you've played a few games. This pack includes extra objective cards and power cards you can use to construct new decks for each warband.
Yeah, brilliant.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, that stops you getting all far too confused and actually enjoy a couple of games.
And not get overwhelmed. Oh!
Which was my primary concern, I think, with deck building games, because I hadn't done it before.
Yes. So that moment, I just got very excited because I found some Ziploc bags to keep everything together. So that's very useful. That's very useful, Ziploc bags. Brilliant.
And then at the bottom of the box, we've got...
This was just the beginning. Well, if this was the beginning, what on earth have I spent all my money on for 20 years? Because that is insane. That piece of art is amazing.
Yeah, so this is your typical...
Here we go.
So
this is your...
beginning now.
I love that.
Age of Sigmar.
But it's not like, oh, you could buy this, you could buy that. There's just a double-page spread of Khorne versus Stormcast.
To be fair, it's a starter set. It's a starter box contents.
Yeah, but it just looks amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That is cool. Get started in minutes, keep fighting forever. Woohoo! So, And I think we've got to the bottom of the box, which is still a rather nifty. It's such a nice box, even. I mean, I know I get excited. People are used to my excitement, but you know, this box is really nice.
Well, haven't you previously talked about your excitement about a cardboard box?
A cardboard box
with a certain special edition.
Oh yeah, the cardboard box of that. Yeah, the generals. It was the General's Handbook, Warlord Edition or something like that. Oh, the Sepulchral Garda on the side.
Yeah, and we've got the Iron Skulls boys on the other side.
Oh, dude, look at those. Oh, mate, that one looks like he's from Jason and the Argonauts. That one there.
Yeah.
Classic. Look at that guy. Oh, dearie me.
I love... They just each spent so much time individually posing them. If New Death looked this good, everyone...
Well, that model that they previewed looks amazing, doesn't it? So we've also got... I also picked up, because I just have this urge to have everything, some... What even have I bought? Garrett's Reaver's sleeves. So protective sleeves for the cards.
Yeah, we've got Steel Hearts ones, which have got nice symbols to it.
Always sensible choice. So there's some blank ones in there.
So yeah, because when you're playing the game, you've got two decks.
Right.
So you've got objective deck, and you've got like a power deck.
Right. So we got two different symbols.
There you go. So you've got different colours, so they're slightly different.
Oh, yeah.
And then we've got a couple of clear ones, because I believe your character cards have two different sizes.
Yes, they do, don't they? Because they get really angry.
Yeah, well, in your case, or, you know, just decided that they're badass enough, they can squash more corn guys in Stormcast.
Excellent. Right, well, this all looks very, very cool. Ben's just pointed across to remind me that I've also got some of the snazzy little... Because you are a fanboy and you bought it really straight away without asking any questions, you get these nifty cards that have got a shattered effect on them. So if you tip that into the light...
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, they're really going on this shade glassy thing. Cassus the Chained, Blooded Sec, Targor, Arnulf. You got Oberon the Bold, Angharad Brightshield,
Severin Steelheart.
Yeah, and I've got Garrett Gorebeard as well.
Woohoo! Angharad Brightshield. Yeah, fair enough.
Ha!
That's nice. That's nice little touch, isn't it? These things you get.
That Garrett Gorebeard looks a little bit like when Ben found that Elwyn had painted his models. That time he was livid, just like that. So yeah, they get inspired. That's what it is. So you turn it over. So sweet. Well, that's the box we've gone down through. Clearly, we're very excited. Thanks, Ben, for joining me.
Not a problem.
Hopefully, you're excited about painting up these the Stormcast.
Yeah.
And I'm going to crack on with these corn, and then we'll have a game. So over the next week, 2 weeks, guys, look out for posts. We'll be putting up posts following the progress, pictures of what we're up to with these, and then of course playing some games. So if you've got it yourself, if you have decided to dive in, please share your pictures, get them up there. You can go onto Instagram. It's hashtag 2P's painting. We've also got Twitter going as well. That's hashtag the 2P's podcast. And there's obviously Facebook as well, that old hat. And you can just post stuff up there, either put it as a comment, on the bottom of some of this, that Ben and I are putting up, or stick it up as a post and we'll get it up there. So yeah, really, really cool. Thank you very much, Ben. Guys, enjoy. Cool. So hopefully, guys, you enjoyed that little insight into the level of excitement when opening a new game. Ben, are you likely to be picking up the Shadespire, or are you just going to follow along?
I am picking it up, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm looking forward to playing the Orcs, actually, because do you know what? I say that, but I was watching a video by Mini Wargaming, and they were using the undead, and oh man, I love those models.
They're good, aren't they? Do you?
Yeah, they're really nice.
So I popped down to to Big today,
Yeah.
Bristol Independent Gaming, and I've been given a Shadespire launch day invitation, which is fantastic because it's shaped in the sort of mirror, shape of a mirror, and it's shiny like the Shades glass stuff.
Oh, cool. Did Jim make that?
No, that's a Games Workshop thing that they've.
Right.
It's obviously part of the promotional material, and I've got a cool poster, with the Stormcast Eternal guy on it, which looks ace. So I'm very excited by that.
He is a bit of a poster boy.
He is a bit of a poster boy. I was told today he looks slightly like me.
Okay, I'll go with that. Yeah,
I'll go with that. So, but while I was in there, we were talking about there's some little Christmas guides that have started popping up, and in there it's got the price point for the expansion packs. So the Oryx and the Dead.
Yeah.
Do you know what the price point is?
No. What
do you reckon?
20 quid?
Very close. £17.50.
Shut up! Really?
No, it's great, isn't it? It's really cool. So,
that is really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
really very surprised by the price of the actual box.
Yes.
It's another big game, board game for 40 quid. I mean, and if you compare it against other games like Doom, for example, that's cheap. That really is cheap.
Well, it's all about that access, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm really excited about it, actually, because watching people play it, it looks really fast once you've got the rules down, so it looks like a game that also looks like a game that Joe will play with me, so quite excited about it.
Good. Well, probably by the time this comes out, I will have played some of it, but you can hear all about that in episode 11. So until then, guys, thank you for joining us in the Mortal Realms, and we shall head off into the community.
Hi guys, welcome back. Hope you're refreshed. We're going to go into the community this time now and talk about a group of guys who do a podcast just down the road from me in Plymouth, Sustained Fire. So Sustained Fire is essentially the other half of the guys who worked with us at Games Workshop, aren't they, Dan?
They are. I think it's important that we say at this point, dude, that welcome to Sustained Fire, brother, because I love their intro. So I just need to put that out there.
Who do you reckon does that voice?
Who do I reckon does that voice? David Hasselhoff.
I reckon it's Sean.
Do you? I don't know. I do. There's not enough expletives and talking about my mum in there.
So, the Sustained Fire is Andy, Sean and Brad. I worked with Andy. He was one of the full-time staff members there when I started as a part-timer.
And I got robbed or mugged by Andy repeatedly.
Every time I
went in, yeah. So Andy was really inspirational about encouraging me to join. Although he'd left by the time I did. You know, we talked about it a few times. He might not even remember, but he was. So.
Yeah, he was a real presence. And he's a real presence on the podcast too. I think it's great.
Oh, so he's really passionate. He's like the tactical guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
No offense to Sean and Brad, but
he's played in on Twitch in Warhammer TV as well with his Chaos Army.
Cool.
In the London GT. So
he's been talking about going to that again. On their episode 7, which has just come out, he's talked about the list he used against you when you played, and.
When you say played,
well, you got.
I set my models up on the table, and then took them back off again. Yeah. That's what happened.
That's it.
Yeah.
So he's the tactical guy. Sean.
Brad.
What? Brad? No, Brad's not the tactical guy.
No, Brad is not the tactical guy. Brad is the
Black Library man.
Black Library
guy,
Brad.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
He is.
Black
he loves
Library
his
Brad.
books, doesn't he? Really passionate about his books. Really passionate about any project he gets into, really.
His background knowledge is just ridiculous. It's really
phenomenal.
And having a conversation with him about, because we quite often talk about the Blood Angels, and because I was never a Blood Angels fan, and then recently started talking a lot about them after I read the book whose name I have forgotten, where Horus sends Sanguinius off to that planet, basically. Yes, that Fear to Tread changed my mind about Blood Angels completely. We were talking about that and the return of Sanguinius and whether or not it's going to happen. Watch this space. Don't think it will personally, but
I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility.
No, I don't either.
That's probably a good one. We could get Brad to come up or to you and talk about that. I think. So
yeah, that'd
Brad
be cool.
is your Black Library man, and if you want a solid, good fight in a dustbin, Sean's your dude. Sean is your dude. 1 foot in a bin, Sean. I am calling you out now, Sean. So hopefully you guys will go back and listen to some Same Fire. And in a recent episode, they called us out for some gaming. But what Sean didn't mention is the number of times we have taken 1 foot, put it in a bin, and fought it out. It sounds mental, and it actually is. So yeah, I'm calling you out, Sean. You find a dustbin. You name the
Just
date
in
and the
case
time.
people are wondering,
Let's do a vlog.
Where Dan has gone mad. This was something that happened when they worked together, where they both put their foot in the bin and sort their differences out.
Yes, and then you wrestle, but you've both got a foot trapped in the bin. And I remember when Mike, our manager, came and found us wrestling in a dustbin, and was like, guys, you need to stop. And we thought he was joking. And it turned out about 5 minutes later, when we were both answering for our behaviour, that he wasn't joking. But it was good fun. No. And, yeah, and Sean, I know he's playing with Dark Eldar at the moment, and he always used to loved his Lizardmen. I remember when Lizardmen came out, if you came into that shop, you left with something Lizardman. It was ridiculous. Yeah, so, but really, three really passionate guys, love their stuff. They're doing a question and answers sessions at the moment, so they've started it with episode 7, which came out yesterday or the day before, so you can jump on their Facebook. They've got a Facebook page. We'll obviously get links to all this in there, and you can ask them questions, and then they'll talk about them in upcoming episodes, so that's really good. And yeah, they're just definitely worth a listen. And then, when we have our mighty battles, you can all pick a side.
Oh, what? Yeah, that's not on, because, we realise that essentially these 10 episodes of 2P's in a pod have been us demonstrating that, realistically, we haven't got a clue what we do when it comes to playing.
Please side with us. Please side with us. We're going to get beaten.
Literally,
that's why I'm calling out about a dustbin.
Okay. Well, so what?
So
if we lose
I
the
think
game,
we
we'll
should
fight in
have
the
a
dustbin.
competition, right? We should have a competition based on who looks the most badass in chainmail armour and reenactment weapons, but you have to bring your own, because you've got loads of that stuff, and who can eat the most KFC in one sitting. Right. I will win.
I don't know, I think...
Hang on, no! What do you mean, I don't know? You're supposed to be on my side. So anyway, to sum up, definitely give Same Fire a listen. They're also on Podbean. We will get the links up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any more undermining of my KFC eating you want to do?
Well, I know. I was just going to say that Andy is a mighty KFC eater. He could put aside a bucket of that, no problem at all.
Well, we shall test that theory. Probably after the bin wrestling, because otherwise there could be some vomiting. Is
this when we go out to Warhammer World and play them at there? Because every time you go to Warhammer World, it seems to me that you challenge yourself with something on Bugman's menu.
Yeah.
And that hasn't gone well on both occasions.
No. Well, the first time it was the cooking, and the second time I was just an idiot. So it's not good.
Well, the third time lucky, eh?
Third time. Right, moving on, dude. We need to announce something pretty awesome, don't we?
Do we?
Apparently so. So we did a competition where we asked people to get involved with our Facebook page. And if you did that, we would pop you in a draw and see whoever the winner was would get a Start Collecting box of their choice. And we did that to try and coerce you into listening to what we do, getting involved on the Facebook page, hopefully liking, commenting on some of the posts, and just try and build the community. So thank you all for getting involved. We have chosen our winner randomly from all of you lovely people. Ben, go on. You can do the honours.
Can I now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the winner is Daniel Lowe.
Woo! Insert clapping here, Ben.
Way!
Hey. So, yeah, well done, Dan. That's really good. We're really pleased for you, obviously. So what we will do is we will send you a message to let you know. Hopefully you'll hear it on the podcast because you're obviously now an avid and keen listener. We'll get in touch with you, find out which one you want. Get an address and get it off to you. Hopefully then, when you've got it together, painted, we can get some pictures up on the site as well. That'd be really ace. So thank you all for getting involved. Hopefully you won't all just migrate away now, having not got the set and you've enjoyed listening in. Yeah, I think that's it really on that, isn't it, dude?
I think so. Yeah, I think for us, we were a little bit overwhelmed by the number of people who came to the page because of the competition. And we hope that one of the things that we're really happy with is that we've managed to create a community. And that's always been the biggest part of what we do. And why we want to do it is we want to build a community. And it's really awesome having you guys interacting with us and talking about, responding to our posts, and sharing them about. And we absolutely love seeing what you guys get up to. So, many thanks for coming to see us, and we hope you've enjoyed being there because like I've said before, we've loved having you.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we hope
it's something
for a long future of 2P madness.
The hobby is really ace to sit down and paint and stuff, but there's nothing quite like being able to share that. I mean, obviously we think that because we've chosen to do a podcast. But yeah, it's just great to share it, isn't it? The passion and what you've created, get some feedback. Really ace.
There's nothing better in my mind than watching someone's face when they turn up to a club as they're unpacking their army, especially when it's someone you know, and you know that they've done something new, and you can see that glint in their eye that they're just itching to get it out and for everyone to come and go, oh, that looks really good, mate.
Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely love it. I can see it in their faces when it's about to happen, and I love it. It's one of my favourite things. I used to love it in Games Workshop when I worked there, and the things that come out of the minds of children. One of the things I've noticed was that kids would say, oh, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to stick a heavy bolter on his arm, and then I'm going to do, he's going to have power swords as fingers, and you'd be like, oh, okay. And then they bring something in and show you, and you could see the sheer excitement as they take this abomination out of their box. But there'll be parts of that which are just phenomenal. You look at it and you think, that is so going on my next conversion. And those ideas and that excitement of coming into the store and it's the same. It never changed all the way through. You get adults, 50, 60-year-old adults would come in with their latest project to show the staff members and they get out of their box and you can watch their face. Brilliant. Love it. And it's the same, I think, on Facebook in a sense. Although you don't get to watch them. I can almost feel the excitement when people have posted their latest models. They're so proud of them that they've had the energy to post them and literally, bare their models to the world and go, look, this is what I've done. And crikey, every time I post a model, I'm nervous. So I guess other people must feel the same, or maybe they don't.
That's the lovely thing about, I really enjoy about Model of the Day. It's just celebrating what somebody's done because people put hours of work into stuff, and it's incredible. And you see some really great stuff. There's the thaumaturge that went up recently. Wow. Just awesome. Just an awesome colour scheme of one I hadn't thought of, It's just really great. Yeah. Really, really good to see. Really enjoy sharing that stuff.
So, yeah. And do you know what? I find Instagram and Twitter both really good for seeing other people's work as well. Instagram probably better. So there it is. Yeah, that's that little bit. So congratulations. Congratulations, Daniel. And we'll be sending your box out in the post. Final thing I want to talk about is I have been looking for... I got in a bit of a strop about this. The Curse of the Wolfen for a long, long time for a reasonable price. Because Games Workshop just stopped selling it, which is why I'm going to get in a strop. And I have been in a strop about it. Because I think it was a key part of the storyline. And certainly the second book in the series was... the launch pad for Magnus, so you'd think that they'd keep selling the first one, but they didn't. And then the 8th edition came out, and they haven't done them as a twin pack, which I thought they might do. So Curse of the Wolfen. I've been keeping my eyes out for it, and I found it in Mad for Miniatures in St Austell, which is a cracking little shop in the middle of a market. It's got a lovely open area to play games in, and they've got a whole bunch of stuff from the old editions that they're selling off for pretty reasonable prices. And I found it there, so I was very excited about that. And this is a shout out for Mad for Miniatures. If you live in or around St Austell or south of Cornwall, then they're a cracking little shop. They've got a massive range of Games Workshop stuff, and X-Wing and a few other things too, and lots of Magic the Gathering. So if you're in or local, search them out, because I don't think you'll be disappointed.
No, it's a treasure trove. I've been down there. I dragged Harriet in there. I was like, oh, we must go and visit St Austell, that famous travelling point where all the tourists like to go.
And Jo even bought something as well.
Did she?
Yeah, she bought X-Wing flying bases for all the ones she broke of mine.
Great. Well, maybe she can speak to Harriet and convince her to buy me a new Apple TV remote after it fell off the side.
Off the side? Is that all that it took to break it? Oh dear. Should we move?
Hey-ho,
should we move on from there?
Yeah, let's move on. Before we leave the community, dude, I just want to give a shout out to Games Workshop in Coventry. So Coventry, UK. The Games Workshop there is moving. Dave Wright, great friend. I know Dave from when I worked in Games Workshop. He is the manager up there. So I will be travelling up there on the 4th of November in the afternoon to visit Dave, see how his grand reopening is going. Loads of stuff going on up there on the day. Opportunity to get that rather cool Space Marine Captain, and also then access to the collector's card so you can get the Chaplain. So I'll be popping up there, hopefully getting an interview with Dave. Really good of him to offer to do that. And if randomly anybody that's listened to this happens to be in Coventry and pops along, that'd be fantastic. It'd be really good to meet anyone that's up there. But definitely worth popping along and seeing Dave, seeing the new store, and maybe even buying some models.
No.
Well, I can't.
No.
I'm supposed to be slimming down the collection. It's
Apart from you, by the captain.
Yeah, apart from that. Well, some things you've got to have. Anyway, moving on. So we are going to move into our final section now, which is Into the Wilds. So, guys, you've nearly made it all the way through. Thank you very, very much for listening. We will catch you in the wilds.
See you in a bit, guys.
Welcome to the wilds.
Ooh. It's getting late.
It's getting late.
It's nearly Halloween,
dude. So we are going into the wilds. There was some exciting news yesterday, I think.
Yesterday? It was today, fella.
Or was it today?
Yeah.
Today. Exciting news today. That Ben and I wanted to talk about, and that is an announcement that Games Workshop has partnered up with Wizkids, or released its IP to Wizkids to produce some new stuff, which is cool.
But not everyone thinks it's cool,
Ben. No, not everyone thinks it's cool, do they, Ben?
I'm not sure where I stand with it, to be honest, because I don't know. It's interesting because I think we need to know what the partnership is going to be about, because when it comes to models, Wizkids aren't great.
Well, it says here, Wizkids will create 2 new board games along with dice games based in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, with additional plans to republish classic board games Fury of Dracula and Relic. So that'll be interesting, because Relic
is massively popular,
and Relic is a beautiful game, as done by Fantasy Flight.
Yeah, which is interesting. It must mean that Games Workshop hold the rights to that rather than Fantasy Flight. I
wonder
if we'll see re-releases of things like Talisman.
Well, I expect the game mechanic would be different. I expect Fantasy Flight have the game mechanic.
Yeah?
And it'll just be the back, because as I understand it, so Wizkids make Star Trek Attack Wing, don't they? And the Dungeons and Dragons dragon dogfighting thing. And they use the rules are from X-Wing, and I believe that I think that is owned by Fantasy Flight, but WizKids have something going where they can use it. I might be wrong. Don't mind being wrong, but I think that's...
It's certainly interesting. I mean, I suppose what's interesting for me about it is WizKids is quite a big company, and they're in a lot of shops. In high street kind of, I don't want to say geek shops, but you get, you know what I mean, like Forbidden Planet and stuff like that. You know, there's, and you've got quite a big one down in Bristol, haven't you?
Yeah, we got Forbidden Planet. It's massive. And it's ace.
Those kind of shops stock a lot of WizKids stuff. I mean, because they make the models for Dungeons and Dragons, and they make the models for, they make Marvel stuff as well, don't they? So, what it will do, and I think it's quite a clever move from Games Workshop, is to get GWIP into those shops via WizKids. I think that's quite clever.
Yeah, absolutely. And so HeroClix is the #1 selling collectible miniatures game in the world.
Is that true?
With 750 million figures and counting. HeroClix is the most purchased collectible miniatures game on the market.
Well, that is stuns me, actually.
For me...
I would have argued until I was blue in the face that Games Workshop was the biggest miniatures producer. Well, there we go. So that is a huge...
There we go. So, interestingly, right, I think, for me, this is all about, like what you just said, about getting products in. This is about accessibility and different people that play different types of games or different genres, finding Games Workshop in a But what's really cool is, whereas the IP for computer games, and we've spoken about this before, about the challenge of getting people that are computer gamers to come over to hobby collecting, this is aimed at people that already enjoy collecting miniatures, but introducing them and bringing them into the Games Workshop IP. I think it's fantastic for growing Games Workshop and its reach. Am I personally excited about the products that will be made? I don't know yet. Based on the things that I've had the chance to get, look at, miniatures wise. So the Star Trek Attack Wing game, not particularly, because the miniatures, for me, they don't tick the box, because pre-painted, I don't think they're up to the standard of the Star Wars stuff. Don't have a problem with pre-painted, but I don't think they're up to that standard. So, I'm not excited. I'm not like, let's see what miniatures they make. But I am intrigued. And what's really cool, or what I believe, and might be miles off the mark, is obviously Games Workshop have produced some really nice board games. Yeah. So the question might be, why are they sourcing out?
Yeah, I mean, that is really interesting, isn't it? I mean, especially...
But what I think... sorry, I'm getting in me flow now. I think that is based around production capacity, and because if the design studio designing Gore Chosen, Lost Patrol, Silver Tower, Overkill, Space Hulk, what they're not doing is working on Necromunda, Battlefleet Gothic, Mordheim, Epic, those games.
Yeah, absolutely.
That are classic Games Workshop miniatures games. And we know, or I say we know, I read on the internet, that fountain of knowledge, that, Games Workshop said in their AGM, and a few things have come out recently that have indicated that production capacity is a real issue, because the business, I mean, you only need to look at the sales figures, it's grown massively. So until that catches up, they don't, I don't think they want to be producing board games right now. I think they want to concentrate on their core games and expanding those.
You know what is being released this weekend, don't you? Or has been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a bridging one again, isn't it?
It is, I suppose. But it's still a board game. And isn't Gore Chosen?
Yeah, but Gore Chosen's not being made anymore.
Yeah, but I'm saying, as an example, those board games that you've just listed, Lost Patrol, same miniatures, Space Hulk. Okay, there's new miniatures in Space Hulk, but dude, Space Hulk I'd put up on that list alongside Blood Bowl, Necromunda, Mordheim. It's a classic.
Yeah, that's true. But I'd still rather that they left board games a little bit and then just did Epic.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I'd love to see more board games from Games Workshop because I played a few of them over the last couple of months and I've loved them. I mean, Gore Chosen is great.
They are good, yeah.
And it's really cool playing those games, but then I'm reminded of the fact that actually one of my favourite board games, Hero Quest, is released by MB. So was Space Crusade with Games Workshop figures. So I think there's a lot of merit in them working with other companies and having, say, one guy go off and sculpt them a few models, or maybe not, where everyone else is focusing on the other stuff. Because if you did a survey of Games Workshop customers and said, okay, guys, would you rather see a new elf range for Age of Sigmar or a new board game? I think I know the answer. Or new guard plastics. Or a board game, I think I'd know the answer to that one too. So I think you're right, is what I'm getting at, in a long-winded kind of rambling sort of way.
I'm just looking, because I don't even know what a collectible dice game is. No. Let alone have I ever played one, so that'll be interesting.
I suppose in a weird kind of way, everyone who plays war games collects dice.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely think there's a market in it for, well, obviously, because they wouldn't have done it otherwise, but for Wizkids as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, like you say, getting into those places is going to be great, and anything that helps grow the hobbyists, and therefore the money that can be invested in making more miniatures and cooler miniatures, and yeah, it's brilliant. It's really exciting.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's really exciting.
I was really kind of sad when Fantasy Flight took a different path. I know it was their decision, because they essentially wanted to make their own games, but it was sad. I think they produced some good stuff together, so I'm hoping that Wizkids and them can have a similar sort of run of it, really.
So you mentioned MB made Hero Quest.
They published Hero Quest. I don't know who
published it. I was just wondering who owns it.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's so popular, you could either go one of two ways with it. You could re-release it or leave it where it is as a.
Well, why would you leave it where it was? That's not going to make you any money.
Well, in a way, that kind of nostalgia drives a lot of things, and if you re-release it, then a lot of it disappears. I mean, I suppose if you were going to redo it, then you could argue that the Silver Tower is Hero Quest Ryudan. So if you were going to re-release it, for my money, you'd have to literally re-release it as it is, and then I think you'd lose a little bit of the specialness of it. That's my opinion.
You can't see me, but I'm making my not convinced face.
Yeah, perhaps. I think for some things, it's just better that it's left where it is. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I do know what you
mean. Having said that,
but there's always a risk though. There's always a risk of when you revisit something, whether it will live up to how can it live up to the memory?
Well, that said, I have played Hero Quest recently and absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's a very elegant, very cleverly made game.
What's the best thing about Hero Quest?
Oh, trying to hear my son work out the word discarded.
I was going to say when they make another one.
Well, I was just looking across to my right and saw Rogue Trader, and I actually thought, well, if someone had said to me a couple of years ago, wouldn't it be a good idea to re-release Rogue Trader? I don't know if I'd have said, yeah, that'd be a great idea. And yet now they have, and it's fantastic. People are buying it, enjoying it, and it's kind of brought that piece of history back to life.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Games Workshop have done it a few times recently, re-released some of the really early stuff. And you've possibly heard me talk about Ian Watson's Space Marine a few times.
Yeah.
Ian Watson's Space Marine is absolutely fundamental, frankly, to 40k. It's the book where Space Marines went from being chemically enhanced, recruited gang members, essentially, and criminals, to being the genetically enhanced kind of space monks that they are now. And I remember when they re-released the book last year, I think they splash released it, and they did a little bit on how they'd gone about the thought process. And one of the things that they said was they did think about literally sitting down and editing it so it brought it into the modern 40k universe, because there's loads of stuff in there which is random as hell. The Slanner in there, for goodness sake. But they decided not to because it was kind of important to leave it where it was. And I think that if they did Hero Quest, it would be exactly the same.
Yeah.
But we've gone from Wizkids on to Hero Quest. I think one of the things I'm more interested to see whether they redid is Talisman. Whether Wizkids did Talisman.
Yeah.
Which is effectively it's the opposite game of Relic, isn't it? Yeah. Because if they're going to do Relic, I don't see why they can't do Talisman. And Talisman is great. As featured on Big Bang Theory. Yeah. So you're excited about it, and I'm going to remain slightly sceptical until I see some of their products, I think.
Well, I'm always excited.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
It doesn't matter what it is. I'm like, my goodness.
You're the kind of guy who gets excited when you see the new release, those two words, and regardless of what's underneath them.
Yeah.
It's a new release, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Well, I can't deny it. I am an excited guy. And on that groundbreaking note, I think we're done here.
Yeah, I think so. There's not much more to say about Fallout. Oh, there is something that's worth a mention, actually. Batman 2 has just been released, along with a wave of new models. And the models are really, really nice. So if you're into the DC universe, fancy a model game based in that kind of world, then definitely go and check that out, because some of them new models are stunning. Released by Knights Miniatures. Again, I'll put the links to all of that up on our show notes.
Yes, you will.
Alrighty, so we're going to call it a day.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Before we both fall asleep in our cups of tea.
Yeah. It's time to go take some crazy photos. Thanks for joining us, guys.
See you in episode 11.
Have a good week. Cheers, guys.